Are you ready to unleash your full potential? Hello and welcome to the Peak Performance Hour, where we dive deep into the secrets of success and empower you to take your life and career to the next level fast. I am Susan Urban, your host and peak performance coach, and I'm here to guide you on a transformative journey toward greatness. Each week, I will tackle your burning questions and provide live coaching sessions that will propel you toward your goals at lightning speed. Now, whether you're striving for better health, greater wealth, or more happiness, I've got the science-based strategies and proven tactics to help you achieve it all. No dream is too big, and no challenge is too daunting when you have the right mindset and the right guidance. So buckle up and get ready to shatter your limits. And join me as we embark on this exhilarating quest for peak performance. Your extraordinary future starts now. Hello and welcome. I am fired up to answer your questions today. We have some really good questions from community members that I would like to share with you. And chances are maybe you are going through similar things, so hopefully this will be helpful to you as well. So the first question comes from Carl in Manhasset, and he wants to know, what is the best way to navigate setbacks? Well, haven't we all been there, right? So there are a couple of ways to navigate through a setback so that you can actually come through on the other side more resilient, more empowered, and more motivated and energized than you have been in a long time. And now, how do we do that? First of all, please acknowledge that everybody experiences setbacks. Now, the thing is also, we might call it a setback, we might call it a failure, but that already frames it in a certain light. So imagine if we were to call it, instead of a setback, what if we call it a transition? Now that changes our relationship with that idea of a setback already, right? However, it is what it is. So number one, accept and acknowledge. In other words, face the reality, have the courage to take a look at what's really going on, what happened here, and I know it's easier said than done when I say accept and acknowledge, but that reality check, right, will already give you a little bit of a boost to recognize that, you know what, I have overcome this, I am here, this is something that happened, I'm all right, let's take the next step. So the first step, just really take a good look, accept, acknowledge. Next. This is a big mistake people often make. They see all the bad, this is how it didn't work, this is how it failed, this is how it went wrong, which I understand, it's a good realistic approach, but we also want to look at what is great, what did work. So really importantly, take a look at what can you congratulate yourself for, what worked really well, how did you prepare yourself, right? What is the investment you made in yourself to even just get this far? So it's really important to consider, right? Think about all the hoops you have already jumped through. For example, maybe you spoke up in the boardroom and maybe it didn't go exactly the way you wanted. Maybe you messed up on a couple words, or maybe people misunderstood you. But, you know, remember, you had the courage to speak up. You had the courage to show up. You showed up on time. You dressed for the occasion. You are educated. You already are brilliant. You already have all the repetitions in your back pocket for you to know that you are the expert. You are worthy to show up in the boardroom, and you are worthy to speak up on your behalf. So really take a good look, because again, remember, that's something nobody can ever take away from you, right? That experience, that knowledge, that wisdom that you have gained through the years, that you brought to the boardroom, is exactly what got you to this moment. So please embrace that and take a good look and appreciate yourself for that, because maybe there aren't people in your life that will give you the credit, that will give you the appreciation or even the encouragement or the gratitude. So do that for yourself. This is so important. And again, remember, when you do that, you can already start to feel more empowerment, you feel more uplifted, and you get to see how far you have really come. So that's very, very important. It's probably the most important step. Then, now you can take a look at what, and by the way, here is another thing, don't make this mistake and say, where did I fail and what went wrong? I can understand and sympathize, but there's a better way to frame that. I'm a big fan of framing something so that it serves us. So rather than saying, how did I fail or what went wrong, we can say, what needs improvement? What could I refine? How could I do this better next time? Notice that leaves space for improvement. And that is literally not like throwing out the baby with the bathwater, as they say, but rather saying, what was great? What can I save? What can I use? What can I embellish? What can I make even better? And this is how we really get to learn from our mistakes. And this is a very valuable approach, because when you can embrace yourself and say, hey, I'm a human being, I make mistakes, I learn from my mistakes, I am willing to go the extra step, to go the extra mile, which again implies it takes courage. It's easy to stay in the comfort zone, right? But realize what it took for you to even show up to that important meeting and the way you showed up. And then just give yourself permission to work on those, whether they're big refinements or small refinements, what can be improved. And now, as you can think about that, you can already see yourself in the next meeting showing up a lot more empowered, a lot more confident, a lot more, I got my stuff together, I know what I need to do, I know how to do it, and you will be ready to go, right? So then that takes you to that, basically to the last step, which is what's called, in the coaching world, it's called future pacing. In other words, now you take the lessons, you take the wisdom, you take the knowledge, you also take what did you specifically learn, and you bring that into the future, and notice what you feel like now in regard to that setback, as Carl called it, setback, right? Most importantly, though, you now get to see that because of that experience, that experience or that setback gave you the opportunity to get to that next level, because there were some valuable lessons that you received out of that experience. Make sense? And as they say, listen, it's very easy to be complacent and to be comfortable and to, sit on the sofa. But if we want to be fit and we want to be strong and we want to have definition on muscles and we want to be healthy, right? Well, we got to go to the gym. And going to the gym isn't the most comfortable thing, right? Doing those push-ups and doing those squats, well, same thing kind of relates to life, right? If we want to get to the next level, we have to be willing to put in the repetition of a bit of that discomfort. And a lot of that comes through trial and error, right? So hopefully this helped you in navigating that setback, so that, because often people, they look at a setback or a failure, and sometimes it can cause us to kind of feel crushed and hurt and sort of demolishes our motivation, but that's not useful. Imagine if we could use that setback as a, hey, cool, I get it, I accept, I acknowledge what was great about it, what can I learn, and what can I use in these steps to bring into the future. Yes? Very good. The next question, which is one of my favorites, is from an anonymous person in Great Neck. What are the best ways to boost productivity? Now, this is a loaded question, and obviously this requires a long answer, but I'm going to give you a couple of things that I would like for you to focus on so that you can really, when we say boost productivity, what does that mean, right? First, we need to get clear. Boosting productivity means, my definition, right? I show up, I get to focus, I can concentrate, I can think clearly, I can feel relaxed, I need to feel motivated, and I need to feel confident, in a nutshell, right? And if we want to show up as that version of ourselves, there's something we can do before it's time to show up that will give us that state, that emotional, mental, physical state. And I want to share two things with you, the long term and the short term, that you can do immediately. Well, one, the short term you can do immediately for you to literally turn yourself on, if you know what I mean. Because sometimes we need to, right? Again, that boardroom is such a great example, because so often my clients will tell me either they have fear of walking into the boardroom or fear of showing up, or maybe they're too nervous. And so imagine if you could literally have a button that you can push inside of yourself where you then walk into the boardroom and you're like, I feel ready. I'm good. I got this. No problem. I am totally in the flow. So I want to show you something that you can do immediately that will put your mind, your heart, and your body into the right frame. Before I show you though, please do not underestimate the simplicity of this technique. Just because it's simple, and it may even seem a little silly to you, doesn't mean it's not incredibly powerful and effective. And by the way, don't listen to what I'm saying. Try this on and see what happens. I want you to really have an experience of this so that you can see, is this working for you, yes or no? So don't just take my word for it. But if you're ready to experiment, if you're ready to play, this is the technique that I teach so many, I call them the Wizards of Wall Street. This is just one, there's so many, but this is just one of them. And the reason I love this so much is because you can do this, it's an inside job, but nobody knows what you're doing. So you can literally do this while walking down the street. Nobody has any idea what you're doing, but really what you're doing is you're programming your unconscious mind so that it is in the peak state that you want it to be when you want it to be. Here's how you do it. I'm gonna give you the step-by-step, and then we're gonna do this together, okay? Number one, first step is think about a person or a place or a past experience that gives you so much joy, that when you think about them or that place or that experience, you could just melt. You could just be like, oh, it puts a smile on your face, it lights you up, it makes you feel so good. You can literally just feel, right? Feel excited, joyful, happy, grateful, whatever it might be. And when you have that, here's how we're gonna do it. You take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, which I would like for you to exhale twice as long, that exhale should have the feeling of, You don't have to say this out loud, but that's the feel. And as you feel this, you bring to mind that person, that place, or that past experience that I asked you earlier about. And so 3 repetitions of this. 3 repetitions, breathing in and breathing out twice as long as you're thinking about the people, the places, past experience you're grateful about, breathing out twice as long. And then do that 2 more times and notice what happens inside of your body. This is how you literally have turned all those stress chemicals that used to be that anxiety producing, fear producing, all of those chemicals, you literally transform them into something that gives you inner peace, calm, and confidence. The other thing about this is the more you practice this, the easier it will be for you. The more your body will respond to this. And so often, many of my clients, either they don't even have to do this anymore, they just think about it, and it's already they feeling, right, that confidence come back, or they do 1 or 2 repetitions of this as if you're like turning your body on, so to speak, right? And so, so practice. Your unconscious mind loves to learn by repetition. That's how it's really gonna settle into your system most efficiently. So let me know how this works. We'd love to hear feedback. And the other thing in regard to boosting productivity is a couple of things that you want to take a look at. For example, whether it's your work or your free time or anything like that, ask yourself, what's most important here? In other words, what must get done that absolutely only I can do. So you want to prioritize things that are important to you, right? And with that comes, maybe you need to set more boundaries. Maybe you need to say no more often, right? Maybe you need to schedule certain things that must be done. For example, for me personally, the majority of my day is scheduled out. That means all the things that are absolutely important will get done, no questions asked. And you're the only person who can answer that, right? You are the only person who knows what are the things that must happen in your day. So as petty as this may sound to you, right? But I even schedule in things like food shopping and my fitness and cooking and as I said, exercise and meditation, things like that. And once you schedule in those things, you can be assured that the most important things will get done. And then because you have scheduled it out, you already know how much time is allocated. It is in your calendar, you'll receive reminders. And this is a phenomenal productivity hack that I teach. And of course, when I work with my clients one-on-one, we take the time to look at your schedule specifically and focus on what are those tasks that must get done that only you can do, when is a good time for you to do them. And we literally dial in your schedule so that your schedule actually starts to work for you. Because so often we are almost like victim of time, right? Oh my God, I don't have the time. But if you could realize that you can start to schedule and you can time block and you can even, another thing I'm a big fan of is putting different tasks together into one activity. For example, when I take my daily walk, I typically listen to something educational, or I call my car College on Wheels, where anytime I drive, whether it's a short or long distance, it becomes my College on Wheel. I'm a big fan of, I'm incessant about learning and striving for just learning more, right? And so sometimes you can condense some of those activities, do 2 or 3 things at the same time. And that will maximize that time that you have allocated. So I hope this helps. And again, when you start to implement these steps, you will notice some positive results in your life as well as in your career. And again, start small. Sometimes a lot of these things may sound overwhelming. Oh my God, it's so much to do. Start with one thing. And maybe that means scheduling in your fitness every single day, or maybe 3 times a week. Just that in itself will make a huge difference in your life, because you'll see that what is scheduled will get done. Just like you wouldn't think about not scheduling your dentist appointment or your doctor's appointment, right? Well, you're just as important. So when you start scheduling the things that must happen, miracles will happen in your life, because you will just, be a little bit on autopilot. And in this case, this is really, really useful, right? For you to actually get the things done that need to get done, and it provides much more streamline, a lot less stress, and you'll be in a much better mood because you already have some predictability. And of course, you also want to leave some room for putting out the fires, as we say, right? That's an important factor too. And I think we have time for one more question. And please, by the way, if you want more clarification in these questions, or if you're not sure, if you want more understanding, at the end of the show, we will share a link with you on how you can get in touch with me, and feel free to email me, and I will definitely be sure to answer your questions. So don't be shy, okay? Because I know we're taking on a lot here, so I know there might be more clarification required. The last question. I would like, of course it's a loaded one as always, right? I would like to be able to get out of my comfort zone more often. Is there a proven strategy? This is from Sonia in, I think it's also Great Neck. I would like to be able to get out of my comfort zone more often. Is there a proven strategy? What a worthy question. Wouldn't we all? Now, remember, first of all, I guess if you and I were working on this together, the first question I would ask you is, why would it be important for you to want to get out of your comfort zone? In other words, if you were comfortable getting out of your comfort zone, what would be useful to you about that? And I remember, again, not to make this about me, but I remember so clearly when I first started this career. personally, I'm a shy person, yeah? But I knew that it is my mission, it is my duty to share this knowledge with people, to be out there publicly, to be public, to present. And I said, one of the fastest ways that I can share my knowledge with my community, with my friends, with my family, with my friends on Facebook, with all of that social media, the fastest way for me to do that and to fulfill my duty and to fulfill my mission is to do some Facebook Lives, to show up on LinkedIn, to post, to go on TikTok, right? All those social media platforms. Because if I want to help people, I got to help people, right? But the idea of going live was like, I can't do that. That's just not how I am. That's not who I am. And I started to wrap myself into an identity of, oh, I can't do that. But then when I realized, and I asked myself this question, well, if I were comfortable, and if I were to go live on Facebook or all these other, what would be good about that? Why is it my duty? Why must I go live? Why should I? Why would it be not only in my best interest, but in everybody's best interest? And so this would be a very, very worthy question to ask yourself, to say, okay, why should I even do that? What's in it for me? It's important. It's not selfish, because you got to ask yourself, getting out of your comfort zone is a risk, right? And you want to be able to answer that question. Is this a worthy risk pursuing? You presenting to the world, you showing up, you getting out of your living room, you going to that job interview, you starting your own business, you making that difficult phone call, you having that difficult conversation, right? Number one, why would it be worth it? And I promise you, when you ask yourself that question, you will have really, really useful answers. And here's what you just built. If you're familiar with the book Simon Sinek, Why, right? Simon Sinek is a big fan of asking, what is your big why? The deeper you get into this question, the closer you will get to what's your why? What's important to you about that? And for me, it got to, I get to help a lot more people. I get to help people who maybe are not able to afford my services, but maybe I could say something that will resonate with them. Maybe it's that one sentence, maybe it's that one technique that I can share that they can do right before that big meeting that will make the difference in their life, right? So what is your why? And the best part, once you understand your why, you will actually feel inspired and motivated and confident, and you most likely, and hopefully this will happen to you, and if it doesn't, you didn't do a good enough job, because I know you by now, you will start to feel a kind of like a beautiful energy that comes from within you that says, you know what, I want to get out of my comfort zone. I owe it to myself and to people. I need to. I get to. You will notice that you're actually in a place of privilege. You will get to see that this is something you get to do to serve humanity, right? Because opening up a business, starting your own business, right? Or even going on a job interview or helping people or putting yourself out there publicly, it's a challenge. It's a risk. It takes a lot of courage, because often getting out of the comfort zone, of course, leaves us open to being vulnerable to, oh, what are people going to say? How are people going to judge us? What if I get criticized? What if I get rejected? What if I mess up? That's all part of the package. Completely normal, completely human, reasonable. Those are valid fears. But understand, give yourself grace and say, yes, I'm a human being too. People are going to be people. They are going to criticize. They are going to judge. Maybe I'm going to say things that people are not going to like to hear. But if I want to fulfill my mission, if I believe in myself, if I know that what I have is really useful, what I have serves humanity, if I go for that job interview, I can help this company in the most amazing way. If I get to go to this job interview, I get to showcase my talent. I get to feed my family. I get to have this vacation. I get to enjoy myself. I get to be fulfilled. Notice, here comes the why again, and that is the fuel that will give you a little bit of that drive, give you a little bit of that, lighting you up in the most beautiful way. And then getting out of your comfort zone just ultimately becomes a matter of, okay, great. Now I know that I actually don't need to, I don't have to, because that comes with a lot of pressure, but it comes with a, I want to. And now that I feel like I want to, and this is something I'm going to invite you, this is your action step today. What is the smallest thing you can do right now, today, to get out of the comfort zone that will give you the biggest impact? Maybe that's making a list. Maybe that is practicing your opening line. Maybe that is refining your resume a little bit. Maybe that is saying hello to a stranger today, whatever that might be. I'm going to repeat the question again. What is the smallest step you can take today that will yield you the greatest result for today or for this week? Write it down, because the minute you write it down, it goes in deeper and you will actually do it. Thank you for today, and remember to be good to yourself. I'll see you soon.